So, I wanted to talk about things that I think are sorely missing from a lot of our spaces in our society, especially content spaces. Um, I wanted to make a series, or maybe even make the theme of the channel, about finding beauty, but not just generally finding beauty. I mean, the channel's name Ontology of Beauty, but about finding beauty through the hard things, through the difficult things, and how to use that beauty to help us get through our day, through our hard moments, through our hard times. Feel like there's a lot of pretending still in our society. There's a lot of putting masks on and bringing out a good face, putting on a brave face, and pretending everything's okay so that we can still function. But on the inside, we're carrying a lot of loads and boulders and feeling really crappy. And finding beauty in the everyday, while that is helpful, it tends to be used a lot to cover up the bad and the ugly and the yucky and the crappy. And it ends up becoming toxic positivity, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's gone through a hard time, currently going through a hard time. And when you try to talk to people about it, you get responses like, well, but there are still all these other good things going on in your life. Well, yeah, but that doesn't, and they might be true, and I might be grateful for them, but that doesn't change the fact that the bad things are bad, and they feel bad, and they cause difficult, uncomfortable emotions, and we still need help and support through that. And more importantly, we need acknowledgement. Trying to redirect towards the positive and the good things just ends up being dismissive and invalidating. And there's a lot of that space just missing from our society. And I thought we need a space for that. In the last 10 years, we've been doing a lot of work around cultivating safe spaces, and that is great and necessary. But recently, I came across a concept known as the brave space, which is the space where not only are you safe to be who you are, but you're safe to show up as you are, with the good things and the bad things. And sometimes we don't have good things to share. Sometimes we have bad things to share because our life is being challenging and we're having a hard time. And I don't see a lot of that. I've been consuming a lot of YouTube content in the last several years, and I've been grateful for it, most of it anyway, because I've been able to find things that interest me that I wouldn't have found regularly, either in TV or movies or other kind of content, maybe books, but that would have to be collecting a lot of books, a lot more than I already have been. And I'm really grateful for how specific you can get, because every person makes their own channel about their own specific thing, and I really appreciate that. And one thing I notice in one of the spaces that I inhabit a lot on YouTube is the beauty community. And I'm happy to see that this hasn't happened as much lately, but especially in the beginning, between 2018, 2020, even 2022, so many of the people making beauty content were constantly apologizing for their appearance. I got so tired of watching people apologize for their eyebrows, or apologize for the fact that they weren't any makeup, or apologize for their hair. And I'm like, this is you. This is who you are as you are. You don't need to apologize for being you. And what, to me, how I interpret that is so many people are still trying to put on a brave face, It's like putting the mask on so that I can function in society. I have to pretend everything's beautiful and happy in my life, even though it may be crumbling. We need spaces where we can actually be real with the good and the bad. I really hate it, honestly, when people try to redirect you to the positive things, when you're trying to express a hurt or a pain or a challenge that you're facing, and they're like, oh, well, but all these good things. Yeah, that doesn't change the pain that I feel. To me, it's like somebody coming to you for help because they broke their leg, their bones poking out, and they're bleeding all over the place. And you respond with, well, but you can still breathe. At least you can still breathe. Now, Yes, I'm grateful that I can still breathe. And I hope I can keep still breathing. But how does that help my broken leg? It ends up being dismissive and invalidating and the opposite of supportive, and which is hence toxic positivity. And I don't think, at least not that I have found, I don't think there are a lot of spaces where we can talk about the difficult things and how we live our day to day through the difficult stages of our life, where it's accessible and even public. You have to try and find support groups, and you might not have access to them. You may not be able to get to a meeting, you not be able to find a meeting, may not qualify for a meeting. I think it needs to be more accessible and more widespread. And we need to be able to hold each other, like bear witness for each other and hold space for each other and with each other, and hold ourselves through the difficulties in our lives, and healing traumas and going through difficult things, going through challenging things that are happening in our lives that don't get resolved in a day or two. Some of us are going through things that have been happening for months and years, and it's grating and it's depleting and it's an everyday struggle. It's like the little drop. I don't know if I can use this word, but the little drop punishment. Let's call it punishment instead of the other word. It just is wearing and it's eroding, just like water. And you need to be able to talk about it. You need to be able to talk about how you feel, and more importantly, feel how you feel without people trying to fix it for you or tell you that you shouldn't be sad, or focus on the happy things anyway instead. Well, I am grateful that I have some happy things in my life, and I hope they continue, but that doesn't change that the painful things are painful and that I'm in pain because of it. I think we need more of that, and I think we need it to be more open and more honest and more available and more normal. We need to normalize feeling crappy and being able to talk about the fact that we feel crappy, and just holding space for that without trying to fix it, without trying to make it pretty, without trying to redirect to positive. Just, you know, um, a lot of people like to say this too shall pass. And that phrase has actually been helpful to me in many ways. But until it passes, you're still in it. You're still going through it. It's still challenging. It's still difficult. It's still painful. You still need the help. You still need the support. You still need the acknowledgement and validation. And we don't have enough of those spaces. And I would like to help. I would like to help provide some of that. And I hope that you can join me. Thank you for being here.